What's up, guys? Batjack JW here, and thanks for coming around and hanging out. Uh, yes, October is on the move, and October, those of you that have been with me a long time, know that October is my favorite month out of the entire year. Yes, October is my favorite month because I just Halloween is that's it for me. Um, Growing up, all through horror movies have always been my favorite movies. That's probably because at a very young age, my parents, my mom especially, that's what she would watch. So uh, I actually have some pickups here that I got some recent buys. So that's what we're gonna go over here. Let me make sure here we got the right ones in the right stuff. So actually just recently went on over to the the bigger mall out here and went there specifically to go to this place, the FYE, for your entertainment, because it's a really neat shop. They have a lot of cool movies, music, and for me to still see a place like that, as for me, I'm feeling like this day and age, it's becoming more nostalgic than it is like an actual something because I don't know. I guess everything is now on this streamable thing, which don't get me wrong, that's neat and everything, but I'm always that guy that goes and like wants to dig through and physically see stuff. I grew up with Tower Records and Suncoast Video and all that. So, and I miss those days a lot. So I went here, and I also feel like supporting these kind of places because I don't want them to go away. So I stopped off at FYE. I got this whatever they threw that in the bag. That's pretty cool. So I spent some money with them. Um, I picked up a couple of films from them, and one of them here is the movie 31. If you're not familiar with that one, this is a film by Rob Zombie. He's a music artist. Um, so he started making some movies out, and I gotta let me elaborate a little bit on his movies. First time around, um, really did not care for his movies at all. I really did not. Yeah, I'll be truly honest with you. I hated his movies. I thought they were ridiculous, um, almost a farce, if you would say. But I was really hard on him. I didn't really. It took me a while before, and it was actually mostly recently, in a way, that I kind of grown to appreciate his movies a little bit more because of I understand now, trying to understand his take on it. His That's what's so neat about again movies and directors is because their visions on stuff is what makes the movie. It's their how they see it, how they perceive it. It's their art. It's their impression of it. So 31 in a nutshell is basically if you ever seen the movie Running Man with Arnold Schwarzenegger, it's basically a horror version of that. But and it's got its own twist and it's got some neat characters, especially Richard Brake. Now Richard Brake is a really neat actor that he's more of a character actor, but he goes all the way back to the movie Death Machine. It was like '94 or something. I remember renting that from a local video store or something, and that's a weird movie. Don't even remember it too much, but other than the claw thing, that it's basically like, I mean, how much more Freddy can you get? As Freddy is my favorite of all the Jason, Michael Myers, and stuff like that. Freddy will always be my favorite. But this is really neat because Richard Brake is in it. Richard Brake really steals the show. He really does. He's really whacked out in it. When I saw this in the theater when it came out, and it was actually a very limited release, and I went to go see it. I wasn't. I had like I guess higher expectations for it when I first saw it in the theater. I was like, because I heard it was going to be like this, like really intense and almost like over the top gruesomeness, and it wound up kind of being okay. Yeah, I mean, it's gruesome without a doubt, but I don't know. I guess they hyped it up too much. But later on, I actually grown to appreciate it more, and later on, I actually grown to like it a little bit more. I kind of understood uh, where it is. You know, it's just that classic horror of like it's just that cliche story. Friends in a big van traveling across wind up getting in the hands of bad people, and they get all that killed. So anyhow, it's a neat. It stands out on its own. And this one, it's a really cheap pickup. I mean, these things, I think you can buy this exact thing for like $10, and it's worth that. I mean, it's and now if it was like a $20-$30 movie, definitely, I don't know. But actually, though, like I said, I've recently become kind of more of a fan with his stuff. So in that light, I actually went back through and picked this up again. I used to have it. I picked it up again. I think my copy got so beat up and ratted up from sun damage living on the island. The spine of it was, I guess the way it was set in my shelf and the sun beating down on it. But I went and picked up another copy of The Devil's Rejects. This one is specifically because it has the extra disc, and that's one thing I must say about Rob Zombie's movies. You really almost get two movies out of every movie because for the most part he includes the making of his movie, and like this one it includes 30 Days in Hell, which is the like the making of this, and that in itself is a fantastic documentary. It's 144 minutes long, so it's not one of those cheap condensed documentaries that are like oh it's just a 15-minute run through. No, this is like a true day by day documentary on set, what it was like, all that stuff. So, and for me, I gotta say, out of all his movies, this one stands out the most to me because this one was truly its own thing. It was its own. There was there. I can't think of a single movie that this thing uh, ripped off. Which in I shouldn't say ripped off, but in a way copied another one or used similarities as another one. This one really stands on its own. It really is just its own gig. It's hard to almost call it a horror, yet it is a horror, but it's more like I don't know, like a demented action drama ride. In a say, it really is in its own. I think it's one of his stronger films. I did pick up again. I did not pick up that one from FYE. I picked up this one though from them because when I originally this is his very first movie. It's called House of a Thousand Corpses. This is the first one. This is the first movie he did, and when I first saw it, I kind of didn't know what really to think of it. I thought it was kind of strange, and for a long time I didn't. I stayed away from it because I thought it was very weird. Um, Now this is more of a cult movie, but now with a coming around to kind of liking his films a little bit more, I picked it up. Now it is part of a trilogy. Yes, it goes the Thousand Corpses to the Devil's Rejects and the newest one out, which I'm waiting to pick up. I can't wait till it comes out because we actually went to go see it in the theater. That it didn't get quite a real release. It was a limited release, and I think it's going to show again here sometime. But it's got a real limited release called Three from Hell, and that's the final uh, um, set for these. And the other cool thing is actor Sid Haig is in all of them. Sid Haig is really cool because he goes all the way back to the exploitation cinema days from the 70s. Jack Hill, all those like the big bird cage and all that. Kofi or Coffee with Pam Grier. A lot of those are really cool films. I like those a lot. And he goes back to those days. And to see him in those, and he kind of turned over a new character line. He became like such a horror kind of following too. But yet he's done a lot of bizarre films, a lot of really cool, neat. Underground kind of like exploitation type cinemas way back. So a lot of those are my favorite ones for sure. And unfortunately, Sig Haig actually passed away this year. It's really sad. he was getting hospitalized and he was just going downhill. It was just sad. And then when he finally, finally passed away, it was kind of a bummer. It was like, wow. It was just, and it kind of made you wonder why he wasn't in the third one as much as he should have been, and it's because the dude was sick. So that's that's a letdown. So let's change of pace just for a little bit here before we get into the last three. But we'll do this one. So I just recently I picked up Rambo 4 on Blu-ray with the light of the new Rambo out. The new Rambo is really good. I like it. For me, Sylvester Stallone has gotten to be such a more of a. I think he's a better actor than he's ever been now. I'm not saying that back then he wasn't a good actor or anything, but he's this. I think he's just his. I think it's just because the way he's aged. He's really become such a presence, even more so now. Rambo 4. Remember seeing this in the theater, walking out of there thinking, "Oh my gosh, like that was probably the most brutal thing I've ever seen." Well, the new Rambo 5 has definitely blown that out, which the new Rambo is become my favorite Rambo out of all of them. I really think that it's almost like it's not even a Rambo movie. It's almost like it could have been, it could have been just an action movie on its own. But because it is part of the Rambo installments, you have to look at it in the perspective of it's like, okay, look, these guys are gonna mess with Rambo. Come on, we all know who Rambo is. So in that light, I picked up Rambo 3 as well. Went through the store, saw it, $7. I was like, okay, I gotta get this one. You know what? Growing up in I remember renting a lot of these from the local video store, and it was Friday night. Okay, you get to rent one movie. I go there, hit the action section or something, or the horror section, mostly the action section, and go through. And of course, I remember renting this, thinking, I remember. As a kid, I was so confused because I remember liking Rambo 2. Rambo 2 was always my favorite Rambo growing up. But I never could remember that. I could never remember if it was Rambo, which Rambo it was. There was only three, but I couldn't remember which one it was. So I remember renting this one and then being disappointed it wasn't the one I wanted it to be. But then I always remember growing up, it was like this was the for me, it was like the weaker of the three. I was like, that one sucks. I don't like it. But now, as I gotten older, actually, I recently also watched it online on the Amazon Prime, and I was like, you know what? Actually, you know what? That's not a bad movie. It's not bad at all. It's actually pretty good. So I picked it up. It's kind of crazy. I mean, it's like he does his own little makeshift surgery on himself in that cave and everything. So. But yeah, with the new Rambo that is out, and I can't wait for it to come out on DVD or Blu-ray. I'm gonna definitely pick it up. All right, so the other one I picked up was It. Now this is the original Tim Curry one. Of course, I saw the remake, and I haven't seen part 2 of the remake yet. So, but I think I'll wait till it comes on tape, and I'll buy it and I'll watch it at home. Maybe I'll watch them back to back, but yeah, see how it moves. It does have that holographic moving cover, but this is the one I grew up with, the Tim Curry one, in the '90s or whatnot. Look at it, just so creepy. Check that out. So, but this is the one I remember growing up with. I scared the daylights out of me. Always was freaked out by this movie. There underneath is the old school cover that I recall. Really neat. Again, one of the reasons why October is my favorite time is because you get to go and shop through, and you'll see a lot more of these floating around. Sometimes you'll see obscure ones come up, and I'll purchase them. Just grab them, snatch them up. So, yeah, that is the original It that I remember. And if I recall right too, when I watched this with my mom, I believe because I know for sure we rented it from somewhere. Might have been Blockbuster, might have been one of those other local rental stores. but it was a double taper. It was 2 VHS tapes. I remember we had to rent each tape separately, I think, or something like that. I remember something that was quirky about that. But we had two tapes, and I just remember sitting there with the blankets over my eyes and watching his movies. So. All right, another one back from the old rental days that I remember that my mom rented was the Mangler. Yes, picked up I haven't. I picked up these or some of these over the course of some time back. So, but I'm not sure if I actually talked about them or did a video on them. This is a short story that was adopted. This was originally a Stephen King short story. I think it's in one of his. I want to say it's almost. I want to say it might be Night Shift or it might be a different one. But the Mangler, Robert Englund. It's got Freddy Krueger himself in it. Directed by Tobe Hooper, the guy that did the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and of course like other ones like Poltergeist and whatnot. Um, I remember watching this. We rented this, and I remember watching it and just being horrified by it. I couldn't believe. I was like, "What in the?" I don't even think my mom finished it. To be honest with you, I think she turned it off halfway through. She just thought it was like a horror, just gross, grotesque movie. It's without a doubt. It's got some pretty gross scenes in it, but it's a neat movie. I bought it. This is it's a Scream Factory edition, so these guys sometimes it's a limited edition. This is actually the exact cover I remember on videotape. It's about this crazy machine that is, say, possessed and eats people. It's neat because in the inside of the cover on this, and this is why I like a lot of these ones that are coming out, is because they include on the other side that's the other artwork. That's the new artwork that they produced, but I turned it around because this is the artwork I remember. So I like that. I like the fact to give you that reversible artwork. Um, but I bought it out of curiosity because even as a kid I didn't watch the whole thing because my mom didn't watch the whole thing. But so I always actually wanted, and of course I'm a big Stephen King fan. So I'm like, okay, so I gotta see this. I gotta check this out. The last one here we got is another one that I remember seeing constantly on videotape, and I'm actually disappointed that it doesn't have the original cover. And it is a Scream Factory, so come on, Scream Factory. I'm actually disappointed in you that you did not help me relive my childhood. Um, John Carpenter's Body Bags. Now, I'll tell you, the original cover I remember was literally a body bag with a claw, like a hand, like a monster's hand, clawing through it, and there was like a zombie-looking dude coming out of it. That's the cover I remember. Always looked at that when I was growing up. Never had the the guts to rent it, but there it is. I remember having to pick this up. It finally this has been an expensive one. If I remember right, I kind of waited until it was a special going on Amazon, and I ordered it because it chopped it down to about $20 because it was like 25. And when it first came out on Blu-ray here, it was a little cheaper than that, but the prices kept going up. And I mind you, I'd never seen it until I bought this, so I didn't want to take that chance. I was like, I don't know. So, but I bought it. It's an anthology, so there's a whole bunch of stories to it. So it's really neat. John Carpenter plays the so-called Crypt Keeper, so it's kind of a homage to Tales from the Crypt and whatnot. Of course, I even like the Tales from the Crypt movies that were coming around. I think it's like the 70s. There was Vault of Horror and Tales from the Crypt, and there were some anthology movies, and those are really neat. But of course, the ones in the 90s, I grew up with John Cassier playing the voice of the Crypt Keeper. This one here, you got the Blu-ray and DVD copy. They did provide the other artwork here, but it's not. I really would have rather had the original artwork that I would have saw on tape. So, but these are the recent pickups that I had gotten. That stuff that since it's October to kind of go through and run through a lot of the horror ones. So I like those. Anyway, before we get out of here, I wanted to actually chat with you a little bit on something I'm going to be doing. So I got a hold of or not Lee Precision, Dylan Precision, and I wound up actually after kind of a, you know, playing this game with them, which I didn't appreciate too much. Playing this game with them over the phone about parts that I needed to replace on my 650 machine. Um, but ultimately, in the end, they wound up taking care of me. That's the bottom line. At the end, uh, Dylan Precision wound up taking care of me and sending me the parts I needed for free. We'll see if it shows up. I had them actually send it to my job. We'll see if it shows up and when it shows up. But they, my point of this is this: if a customer spends $1,000 on your machine, that's a lot of money. And I know it was, oh no, they're only like 650. After you get the conversion kits and all the stuff you need, it's like because that's what I paid for mine. That's what I paid for my 650 with the conversion kits that I wanted and everything. It was like grand. Um, and the conversion kits, mind you, you look at those conversion kits, you're looking inside, and you're like, why is this $100? So that's my biggest gripe with Dylan. Their stuff is expensive, very expensive. Uh, and I really think that Lee has come. You know, Lee is usually my go-to people because what they produce and the prices they produce it for, it's really hard to beat that. But anyway, I'm gonna hopefully at the end of all this, hopefully the outcome is to get the the 650 set up and actually running here. That's what I'm gonna do. Now my next thing was mounting it. I have a table right here, a desk that I was going to mount it to, but the problem is you need that clearance on the bottom for the linkage system and the handle to come down. So I definitely, now my buddy Dan has the stand for it, the stand that puts the thing up about almost 9 inches, and it also gives it that clearance underneath. I was like, you know what, that stand is actually, I like that. That's nifty. I never thought I would, but I do like that stand. But looking at it, it's the deal with that is the stand is like $70, and you're talking about two pieces of metal on each side. That's it. Just clamps onto it. To me, that should be no more than $40, if you ask me. But it's Dylan, so they want the extra money for it. My thoughts is, I'm looking at that going, couldn't you just build something like that? I mean, I'm thinking you take some wood and you actually just build almost like a box for the thing to sit on with the front of the box open so that the handle can go through it. That's what I'm thinking. So I'm thinking a box with the bottom plate that is a little bit longer so I can bolt that down to the desk. The thing sits on top of it. The front of it is open so that you can go in there. You put the back part onto the back part of it to give it some structure, and I think that'll do it. And I think I can get some scrap lumber and build that for a lot less than $80 or $75 or whatever it's going to be after shipping. So we'll see if I can do that. Like, I'm going to look into that now. I don't, if I start to come near building this thing for the parts and everything I need, if it starts to come anywhere near, like, say 40 something dollars, I'm gonna scrap that idea and just purchase the plates from them and just do it that way. But if I can do this for like just sourcing out and finding this stuff and putting it together for like $10, then that's what I'm gonna use. I'll make a video on that and showing you that journey into doing so, and we'll check it out and see how that shakes out for us. And hey, I might have that Dylan 650 up and running, and then I want to keep my turret press, my Lee turret press set up the way it is on its own mount because, again, I'm kind of really thinking about that Lee Loadmaster. We're gonna see how the Dylan turns out with the new parts that they're sending me. We're gonna see if I can do it that way. This way, I don't have any money really invested into it anymore. That was what I was trying to avoid. I'm not going to reinvest too much more money into the machine because I'm starting to feel just like it's just way too expensive. And the Lee Loadmaster is starting to appeal to me more and more. That's where I'm at with that. So anyway, we'll see how it goes. Thanks for watching, you guys. Thanks for hanging out with me. I'm Batchat JW. I truly appreciate it. And I was actually going to do a live stream on this channel, but because I don't have enough subscribers here, it won't let me do a mobile live stream. So that's why the live stream went onto the other channel. So that's what happened there. But anyway, I still appreciate you guys. Have a lot of fun here on this channel, doing these random videos with you folks. So I do appreciate you guys being here and subscribing.